Welcome to the Quality Problems Podcast, where we see problems as opportunities to learn, develop, and grow, both on a personal level and with your dog. In this podcast, we'll provide a unique perspective and the tools you'll need to take on challenges and come up with problem-solving solutions. The bigger the problem, the bigger the opportunity. Now let's get to problem solving. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Quality Problems Podcast. It's your host, Stan Smith, CEO of Xdog, and this is episode number 12. So if you are new to the podcast, welcome. And if you're not, welcome back, man. We appreciate your support. Of course, today's going to be a unique podcast. We're here at the Airbnb in Houston. We're at the Houston World Series of Dog Shows, and it's an epic event so far. We appreciate everybody stopping by the booth so far. Tomorrow's going to be Saturday, so it's going to be crazy. But, of course, if I'm going to be in H-Town, I got to visit my boys from Team No Fear, Mr. Clay and Mr. Phillip of Team No Fear. And we're going to talk a lot of shit tonight, man. This one's going to be epic. It's going to be very, very interesting. So I'll start off by asking you guys a couple questions, and then we'll get into some real shit. So how long have you guys been working together as far as how did Team No Fear come together as a whole? You know what I mean? And what attracted you guys to work with each other? Because this dog industry shit is kind of crazy when you think about it, man. And the longevity that you guys had so far is kind of unprecedented.
Yeah, 2010.
Yeah, December 2010.
And we actually met, but before that.
You can scale up to the mic a little bit.
During the spring. I guess I had been out of really competing. I had taken some time off, maybe like 7 years, and a guy, when I knew I wanted to get back in and get a puppy, this guy recommended a gentleman to go and train with. And so he said that the gentleman was in the city, and I mapped it, and it was only maybe 7-8 miles from my house. And I'm thinking, wow, I don't know, to go work dogs, you usually have to go out to the country or something.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I ended up going out there, and bottom line, it wasn't the best situation, but in that situation, I ended up meeting Phil, because he was just getting into it, and he was out there.
Yeah. And
so I guess what did you say? We really started the team because that person kind of said that, you guys can't do anything. You won't be anything. And
really?
Yeah, pretty much for me, it was like two different groups that were basically in the same situation. So it was like it was me, myself, Clay, and another individual, and there were two individuals from another group that were in the same situation.
Okay.
And, pretty much we're like, hey, we're all like-minded or whatever. So I was the guy who knew everybody.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So I was like, hey, man, let's just go ahead and do this thing our own self or whatever. We're not going to sit there and be about the money. We're not going to sit there and take other people. We just want to sit there and prove that the APBT can sit there and do the things that the Malinois, the German Shepherds, the other breeds are doing.
Yeah.
And we wanted to sit there and be unified as an organization that would sit there and compete in multiple venues and take over.
Now, do you feel like that you guys have done that as a whole?
Record speaks for itself. Resumes don't lie, as we talked about on the last one.
Yeah.
Team No Fear will be 10 next year, and I think that just listening to people who will come up to us and say, "Oh, we appreciate your work and thank you for inspiring us," we can definitely see that things have changed in the working dog world. And I don't care if you own a KMPV Mal or if you own a French Poodle, there's a different feel, there's a different atmosphere.
Sure.
And when we got started, like you said, it was just more of, okay, let's show what these dogs can do. But at the same time, because we were so focused, we remained blissfully ignorant to a lot of things that were going on around us. And it wouldn't be until someone would say, hey, did you hear such and such? Nope, didn't know about it.
Yeah.
But you broke this record. Didn't know that either. You know you're the first to do this and this and that. And I guess it was good and it was bad, because it was good in that you were proud of your achievements and what you had done. But at the same time, man, I got to do this, and I can't slow down. I got to keep winning. I got to keep, getting championships and titles, and of course also learning and becoming better handlers and trainers,
Sure.
what have you. And then with us, also expanding our brand, because Team No Fear, we've had opportunities at this point where we've gone to other countries based on, oh yeah, the Team No Fear guys, or based on Boogeyman,
Yeah.
OC, Punisher. These are, I kid you not, my first night when I was in Italy, my host, I think it was probably, we got back to his, close to his house at 1 a.m. So he's, oh, you want to get a drink? You want to get something to eat? And so we went by this pizza spot, because that's all you have in Naples. And so,
Really?
yeah, we did some shots and all. And so the guy was very hospitable, the owner. And then my host said, I know very little Italian, but he said something Boogeyman. And the guy nearly jumped across the counter, just shaking my hand. And so that's the type of love that we've gotten, and it's all with these dogs that we brought into people's homes, and people watching them grow up on the internet.
Sure. So, in this game, is respect is earned. And you talk about now that you're getting the notoriety and respect that you guys have been working so hard for. Do you feel, when did that start happening? When was there like a turnkey and a turning point when that started actually, where you started noticing it?
It came kind of early, I guess, because honestly, the first thing that you noticed was the hate.
Yeah.
The first thing was the hate, because it was, oh my gosh, these guys, they're just working these dogs so hard. And, at the time, like, I had a dog that was almost 16.
Yeah.
And living in luxury and eating better than people. But yeah, that was the hate from some of our, the root word of fan. Fan is short for fanatic. That came first, and then I think it was just the love, where people just coming up to you like today at the booth, and I don't know some of these people, but hey, seen you on Facebook, love your work. Like, that's the stuff, because you're not doing it for the likes, you're not doing it for that, but it does feel good to recognize that, all right, this person may never have gotten off the couch with their dog to hit a spring pole if it hadn't been for seeing our videos, or
Sure.
This person that had a bulldog that, I want to be the next Punisher or OC. That's because, I don't think it was ever really in our minds, okay, we've got to come out like this. We wanted to have fun, and we wanted to win.
Yeah.
Because I would say on the squad, we're definitely the two most competitive, because when we started, I had been into dogs for a while and working dogs, but once we got together as a group, we started doing so many different disciplines.
Sure.
And that's when I spoke before about having to meet with people and train with people who had done it and all. So, like in weight pool, we started off with, all right, let's just get this ribbon, let's get first place. And then It was, if I can't get body pound, I might as well not go to the show. And it wasn't an arrogant way, but it was just, okay, the bar keeps raising, and so you've got to go with it. It's not about, let me get a 99 in this obedience trial. It's, if I don't get high in trial, I'm going to be a little disappointed in my training.
Sure. How much of a role do you guys feel, as far as, like, there's a thin line between being arrogant and confident, right? Like, some people look at you and they'll be like, oh yeah, Team No Fear, their success, there's some arrogant motherfuckers. Some people look at you and go, damn, there's some mad respect there. I know on the last episode we actually brought up the One Trick Pony, and we got your opinion on it. What is your thoughts and your opinion on One Trick Pony? Because when we talked earlier at the booth today, you were talking about, possibly getting a Malinois in the future, and I said, well, what do you want to do with it? And you wanted to do PSA, dock diving, all kinds of different sports with them. What's your thoughts on the One Trick Pony?
Basically, for me, I want to be the one trick pony in every single event. I want to win in everything.
Yeah.
That's just my mentality.
Yeah.
So whether it's work, whether it's my personal life, regardless of, I want to win. I'm a competitive individual.
Yeah.
So with me, it's, hey, show me something, different sport, new sport, whatever the case may be. All right, cool. If I enjoy it,
Yeah.
that's all the better.
You're going to go and study it.
Yeah, I'm going to sit there, study it. I'm going to train with individuals who've trained in this sport, who've won in this sport, who've been successful in this sport.
Yeah.
And my goal is next year to be busting that ass.
and that brings up another thing. So if somebody's new to like a sport, what was some of your approaches when you're looking for a mentor? Because obviously, in anything you do, you want to look for somebody who's better than you or more successful than you in that area. What were some of the approaches that you took to get your mentorship? And let's say somebody's new, how would you want them to approach you guys to get advice, or would you even want to help them?
It's kind of different. Going back to the first question you asked about the arrogance versus the confidence.
Yeah.
When I speak with people who will speak with me honestly and tell us, what they hear and what they think, the one thing that they say about both of us is that these guys will help you wherever, whatever the sport is, if they can show you something. And that's just kind of what we do, because someone has, taught us at some point or shown us something. And so, yeah, we're definitely willing to help. We're considered, I guess, weight pull mentors with ADBA, and whatever the sport is, whatever we can do will help. But I think, again, it goes back to some people. Like, I remember I was at a weight pull some years back, with Boogeyman, and so there was a guy who I thought was a buddy at the time, and he had his dog, and I remember he finished the pull, and let's say that the body percentage was like 54%, and his dog was maybe 5 pounds lighter than my dog.
Yeah.
And I remember him coming off and said, "Oh, what did you pull?" And I said, 54 times body weight. And I just, because again, I was going for body pound, I said, okay, I think I can cover that. I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
And I went on to get body pound. I won the show, but later I was told that was arrogant. He, said that I was so arrogant. I said, well, what was it that I said? Oh, well, just the way that you said that, you could beat his dog like that, when in my mind it was just, okay, yeah, I can cover that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we, when we were getting started, I guess the good thing was we had some knowledge within the group that just the base kept growing. And then in some of the things that we were new at, like weight pull, for the most part, people were helpful, even though we may have gotten different types of advice. Some advice not the greatest, and some was much better. But when I've thanked people, I've always thanked everybody that assisted. Yeah. Because that's the only way that you keep the sports growing, whether it's protection sports. I had a conversation with a guy when we did the seminar, I guess a month ago, and there are a lot of new people, young people, what have you, that want to get into things, but they don't have mentors. They don't know where to go. And so what do? Oh, okay, this is the YouTube generation. I see it on YouTube. The guy's got that suit on. He's running around in front of the dog. I'm going to go spend my $1,200, get a suit, and I'm going to do that. Yeah. And, of course, in the mentor role, I guess the idea is to tell the individual, okay, that's not quite how it's supposed to look, but if you're willing to learn, if you're willing to come around, we'll show you. Like I said, both of us have always been open to assisting. With weight pull in Houston, when we started, there would be good-sized shows around here, fairly regularly, and now there's just very little presence. And so we actually work with folks and start them off and let them borrow the harnesses, and we'll let them come out and pull on the tracks just to try to grow that. Kind of like we spoke at the last podcast, PSA and APPDA, when you're talking about a protection sport, you have to have a team of people. Yeah. You can't do it with one guy or two guys. You've got to have that base, that network.
Yeah.
I always tell people, I want to win it because I have the best dog that came up that day.
Yeah.
I don't want to win because I knew something that you didn't know.
Yeah.
I tell anybody who trains with me, who works with me, I tell them everything that I know.
Back to you can see my hand, but you can't play it.
Yeah. And it helps evolve the sport, which is something that again, you want to offer as much value as possible, which in turn builds your brand.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So, you guys have been working together for over a decade, right? Or it's going to be going on a decade. How do you make it work? Because sometimes you get, maybe it's different because I guess you're not considered breeders, right? You don't make a living off breeding dogs. And maybe that's why it's not such a conflict between you two, and the dynamic between you two and the chemistry is a lot different. But I know in the dog game, I've seen so many kennel groups or partners break up because of one person's success over the other.
Well, you're talking about a lot of money coming into that once you're on the breeding side. I think with us, really as a team, what has kept us going is just the diversity, because we're all competitive. We all want to win. We can push each other.
Yeah.
But it's certain things like, okay, for a while I had a run and I was just, really obedience and rally and, some protection, and, Phil was just boom, knocking out the weight pull.
Yeah.
So I guess there's not really, it would be interesting if we got to a point where, let's say, if we had dogs that were in the same class or something, because honestly, it wouldn't be conflict, but we'd probably win everything because we'd be so busy trying to whoop each other.
Do you guys purposely not do that? For example, like
No.
fighters and stuff.
It doesn't matter. It's been the luck of the draw, because you got to think now we're going on our, technically, if you want to call it, third generation of dogs
Sure.
within the team, and it's just always been who had what, or what dog ended up what size.
I go to win anything.
Yeah.
And if I lose, I'd rather lose to my teammate than anybody.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So if you beat him, you talk shit, and he beats
Right.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really talk shit, but
So, the brunt of Team No Fear, it seems like kind of like, in a way, from the outside looking in, like you were right. You were kind of doing the weight pull thing. And I didn't really even know you did personal protection or a lot of the other sports, because you didn't really push it too much. Why is that? Because let's say somebody talks about Team No Fear and there's like a bad rumor or something like that. It seems like you may get the brunt of it, where you're kind of more the quiet type.
yeah, I'm low key. I'm
Yeah.
a low key individual, whatever. When it comes to the dog, I look at the dog game. It's like Facebook
Yeah.
warriors,
Yeah.
or whatever. I don't play those type of games with
Yeah.
individuals or whatever.
Yeah.
So anybody who knows me personally knows how my personality is or whatever. Like, I don't play those games. I'm not going to sit there and battle with somebody on the internet and all that. So I'm a low key individual.
And with me, just the sheer amount of traveling and places that I've been, you rack the miles, and you also you pick up your friends and you pick up your enemies.
Yeah.
And so a lot of, like you said, most of these people, like we talked about, folks will sit up and DM you this, that, and the third, and then see you in person at the show. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Yeah.
How are you doing? So, like I said, it's more of remaining blissfully ignorant, because, bottom line, we compete. We're good sports. We do good business, and you keep it moving. But yeah, definitely, the more that you're out there, and for every person, well, I like to say for every one person that you piss off that is going to become your new worst fanatic, you've got 5 people that you've helped, or
Yeah.
people that will, oh yeah, those are good guys. Have you ever met them, or have you
Sure.
have you ever competed against them or with them?
Yeah, so you guys been in the sports, for a while. Do you feel like like weight pulling has evolved and become more popular? Do you feel like it's kind of transcended and gone downhill? Like, how do you feel competition's going? Is the sport growing as a whole?
I think the sport is on a bigger platter right now just because of Facebook and social
Yeah.
media, but the numbers are down.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing, is how do we get the numbers up? Basically, pretty much, you got all these people who want to sit there and compete, but they sit there and they're Facebook warriors. So it's a catch-22. We sit there and try to promote the sport, be good sportsmen, get everybody out there, but the numbers are going down. So what is the cause of that is the real root of the question.
What do you think it is?
There are a few things. Like I said, when we got in 2010, 2011, there were shows everywhere. You had different organizations, different registries. The numbers were plentiful. We would go to just like when we met you, I think that year ABKC had done 1 or 2 other shows in the area, and then that was a pretty well attended nationals.
Yeah.
Prizes were good, the awards. But yeah, it's a lot. I guess back in 2013, when APA split and became APA and UPF, that was big.
You think that hurt the sport?
Oh, it did. Definitely did. Because you're talking about what was considered, come hell or high water at one point, the granddaddy, the big dog, I should say. ADBA, I guess, or IWPA would be the granddaddy because they're older, but APA was the big dog.
Yeah.
If you wanted to get that respect, it didn't matter, and this was something that I always kind of disagreed with, but it didn't matter what happened all year long.
Mm-hmm.
But there was that one weekend on those 2 days
Yeah.
that you put it all out there, and that was championships. So if you can imagine, that organization splits off. So you now have 2 organizations that have quality dogs and quality handlers, but it's different. You no longer had some of the larger shows during the year to kind of bring people together to get the rivalries intensified and to get people looking forward to nationals. And so after, what are we, 2019? So that's this will be the 6th, I guess, UPF nationals. Yeah, it's different. That did a lot, because then of course you have ADBA, you've got Iron Dog. People are going to pull different places, and some people are very they're very strategic. Just like competing in anything, they're very strategic where they'll go, because okay, well, I know this person's here and this person doesn't pull here. I think that was one of the things that when we first started off, it got us a lot of respect, but it also got us a lot of dirty looks, because we never thought about, oh, well, we're not going to go here or we're not going to go there. It was just, let's roll. It didn't matter. We wanted to beat everybody.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
Why do you think they split? What do you think what the root was of the divide?
Oh, I mean, the divide was just politics and people wanting to do things different ways, and people, just like with anything else, when you're looking at, instead of looking at the dogs, you're looking at me.
Was there that money involved to the point where there was like they?
That's the biggest misconception.
That's a rumor.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, what would
weight pool is the poor man's sport. There is no money in weight pool.
I know, but why would they want to split if they had something so good? Like,
Basically,
there's no money
What
involved.
it boils down to is, since that last nationals where APA was the only big dog in the group, every national since then combined, they haven't done the numbers that one nationals did.
And see, a business person looks at that and sits down and devises a way, let's bring that back.
Yeah.
But if you're APA all the way and I'm UPF for life, and like you said, it's a poor man's sport, that mentality's not there. It's not there. But yeah, a business person looks at that, okay, how can we get these numbers to, because what's the point at the end of the day? If you're trying to have a competition where these are the best dogs, and then now you have multiple organizations, because when APA was at its apex, it didn't matter. It was in Missouri, and people came from California, from Texas, from Florida, from New York. They just came there. So now, okay, you got one national down in Arkansas, you got one nationals in Kansas, and just with the expense of traveling and everything and the dates, you got people, oh, well, I can't make it to this one because such and such and such, as opposed to at that one point when there was one organization, it was, all right, we got this marked on our calendar for the next 5 years because it's not changing. It's going to be the same weekend. We're going to get time off. We got the kids taken care of, babysitters. We're there.
Okay. Now, there was that one year where you were, how many national champions did you, different national championships did you win with Destiny?
I went to 5. I think she won 4.
4?
Yeah.
Damn.
And see, that was unheard of. When we started.
Yeah, has anybody ever done that?
Not to our knowledge.
Speak up.
Yeah. When we started, that was what we were taught, that okay, you get the dog ready, and for that one weekend of the year, the dog is going to peak. And so I think that Phil has kind of taken that to the limit and exposed it to not necessarily be true. Obviously, you got to have a hell of a dog, hell of a handler, but when you're spacing something out like that and you have a good dog and you have a well-conditioned dog, a dog that has great nutrition, and the heart is obviously got to be there.
Yeah,
you are able to do that, because that was a big thing. It's just one time a year. But again, that competitive nature, like, well, there's going to be 4 nationals. I can't just go to one, but then I can't make the excuse, well, she just won this one because she was peaked for this one. We got to go and we got to try to win 2 and 3 and 4.
Yeah.
That was my big thing, was that, like I said, I'm a neutral guy. So I had the APA people talking about UPF people, UPF people talking about APA people. Pretty much I wanted to sit there and say that, hey, I wanted to bring the best dog to every event, to sit there and say that I had the best dog at the event. So it didn't matter of which organization if you pull UPF, I pull APA, and I win, you win your organization. Who's to sit there and say that you
Who's
had
the
the
best?
better dog or who I had the better dog?
You've got to go head up.
I wanted to go head up with every single dog that was out there in my class for body pound, no matter what the case was, to sit there and prove that, hey, I brought Destiny out there in peak condition to do what I had to do.
Yeah.
And the results show.
With your experience in seeing those type of results, what organization right now do you think is the better organization?
Can't really say. It's just going to
It
depend on who shows
it
up.
depends on each class is different.
Yeah.
So, each class is going to be different. Each year is going to be different. UPF this year, APA this year is going to be different than it was last year.
Big dogs may be in one registry or one organization one year, and small dogs may be good in this organization another year.
Yeah, ADBA travels. It differentiates every year where the nationals is going to be.
So you may have the best pullers in the country that show up to ADBA Nationals because it's centrally feasible for everybody to get there.
Gotcha.
As opposed to APA or UPF, you may have smaller numbers just because, we're not going to such and such. And again, it's one of those things that I'm watching it happen. I'm on the inside, but I'm also able to step back and look at it from the outside. I think Destiny is at, 12 or 13 national championships at this point, something like that.
Yeah.
To where now, and some people may, no, it's not true, but they're breeding dogs smaller.
On purpose?
Breeding dogs intentionally smaller and not culling a dog that 10 years ago would have been too small. So, okay, we're going to do something that they're breeding dogs smaller just to be able to come after that crown. On one hand, good thing. On the other hand, I think when people's intensity gets to be too much, they may do foolish things and that they shouldn't do to try to get the W. But yeah, so that's what, when 20 years from now, our name's going to ring out. There's no way to deny it. Like I said, it's written, and that again is more of Team No Fear. It's not so much how many times did you win or what did you. It was how did you do it.
Yeah.
You were the youngest to do this, or you had the most this, or you in 1 year you went and you won 4. Now it's just the. Yes, it's the finesse.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all I can call it. It's just the way I said. It's not that we did it; it's how we did it,
Yeah.
and we did it our way.
So tomorrow's event, right? Let's talk about AKC and the weight pool, the sport of weight pool in AKC. What's different from that compared to these other organizations? Or are these other organizations attached to the AKC or UKC?
No, well, AKC doesn't even recognize weight pool as a sport. Pretty much what they're doing with this one is they're running it through the Alaskan Malamute organization. So the rules are a little bit different. Majority of the weight pool organizations we pool with are based off of body percentage, not most weight pooled. With the Alaskan Malamute organization, they go off of most weight pool, and the weight classes are based off of the breed. So you have 60 pounds and under.
Yeah.
So that means a 10-pound dog is competing against a 60-pound dog for most weight pool.
Why is that?
Well, technically,
you
for
wouldn't see
the
a
fact that
Malamute.
it's a Malamute shouldn't be under 60 pounds.
There's no
Yeah.
weight
So there
class.
shouldn't
see-
be dogs competing in that class.
You would just see a 100-pound or 120-pound or an 80-pound, as opposed to they don't care about 60 and below.
Right, so
You're not going to see a Mikey or a Destiny-sized sled dog.
right.
Yeah.
So basically what it boils down to is that it's not for the breed specific. The same way ADBA a few years ago, when I first started competing in ADBA, the pit bull wasn't supposed to be under 30 pounds, so they had a 30-pound handicap. So if you had a 10-pound dog, guess
Yeah.
what? They considered your weight 30 pounds. If you had a 20-pound dog, it was still 30 pounds.
Sure.
So with the breed specific, but when they opened up the organization to it was all breed, an all breed weight pool, then they had to get rid of the handicap. Well, if I want to pull my Chihuahua, guess what? My Chihuahua shouldn't be 30-pound handicap.
Yeah.
So they opened it up. Now with the Malamutes, again, until they open up their organization, their weight pool rules to all breeds, they would then go ahead and change the weight classes. But
Yeah.
being that it's a Malamute, organization, it's specifically for the breed. So 60 pounds shouldn't be even a class.
So why are you guys going to it tomorrow? Why are you guys going to compete in it? Just for experience, for repetition, just getting reps in?
It's our backyard in this weight pool.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been going to that show, 2000, I think 2008 or 9, when I had older dogs at the time. But Yeah, it's our backyard. It's weight pull. I know in the future when we do have younger dogs, we'll be having really big weekends because we'll be competing in multiple things from OB. Both of us have done confirmation there. But yeah, it's weight pull. It's our backyard, and I don't care. And I know he doesn't care. I don't care what the breed is or what your club is. If we're allowed to get on that track,
Yeah, that's pretty much what it boils down to. If there's a weight pool that I want to go to, I'm going to go to it.
How do the AKC people look at you guys as far as like
all
the
the
mountain?
stuff kind of intersects because like I said we show AKC or we show in different sports, and like today all the people that were coming over, those are people that compete with this and compete with this and that. AKC is always it's a different type of organization. It is of the actual registries, it's probably the most prominent. And of course, just like any of them, you may have some people with attitudes or some people that look down. But like you saw today, you have someone who is not familiar with weight pull per se,
Yeah.
but they see Mikey over here who was bred by Susan and Kelly over here. Okay, so it must not be too bad. So that's where the lines they intersect, and that's a good thing because I guarantee you tomorrow. We were joking about it during the week with the classes being like they are. All right, not so much worried about the awards, but better get a standing ovation. And when you get those standing ovations, those are when the inboxes start blowing up. Well, how do I get into this? And I saw your dog, and people have told us that just watching them pull, and at the end I was crying. It's legit because it is a very intense sport, and watching that bond between the dog and the handler, just watching how the dogs put themselves out there. So yeah, that's where the attention and growing the sport will come in because someone who may have looked at an APA or UPF and just shied away, I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah.
They see this at an AKC show that's televised and is the largest show that comes to Houston, that lends validity to the sport of weight pull because, all right, well, if it's over here right next to agility or fly ball, maybe it's okay.
Yeah. As far as like the Malamutes, how do you, when you guys look at them as far as weight pulling dogs, what do you consider them? You consider them like a high level, or when you've dealt with different breeds? I mean, you have an American hairless terrier, and you've got a Staffy, and
just looking at a Malamute, 120-pound dog, and watching what I've seen them do with sleds and karting, those dogs are beasts. Just sheerly with. You're talking about 120. If a 120-pound dog puts his all into something, he's going to move it.
Yeah.
But what I found, you probably agree, most people on the weight pull side, the biggest excuse I hear is, these guys don't really want to work. They just do this and this, so we just kind of mess around. So you don't have as many serious ones down here. Now, when you're dealing with some of the IWPA people, then, yeah, you have legitimate 120-pound dogs that are moving 6,000 and 7,000 pounds, and they're putting it on.
Yeah. So where do you guys see like Team No Fear in the next 10 years?
Still winning.
Real
talk.
I said, generations, because we've done the Punisher just turned 10. OC will be 8 in less than a month, and I think we're going to campaign and have fun and bring the dogs out.
Yeah.
As long as they're still healthy and they're still enjoying things. But like we spoke about before, there's certain things that I'm not going to put the dog through what it takes to keep him at a high level in certain things, as opposed to I can go out and do weight pull, I can do nose work, I can do what were we talking about the other day? There's certain things that you don't have to. They're not as much of a stress on the dog. And yeah, these dogs they've done everything. They've shown there's nothing else that they have to prove ever.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, for us, our legacy will be, okay, what is that next generation? What is that offspring of Punisher or offspring of Destiny or OC? What are they doing? And can, just like Derek said, what are they doing? And can they do the same thing? But, of course, the way we think is not going to be about doing the same thing. It's going to be, all right, we got to go out here and we have to eclipse it. So that's what's going to be, I think, the surprise for a lot of people is when you see that next generation come out and just start banging like we did when we first came out. Because there's a younger generation of dogs and some nice dogs, especially pit bulls coming up, and guys that are working really hard. But yeah, give me about 18 months and
Yeah. Speaking of, the come up, how do you see the young generation right now as far as is the sport, any of these sports that you guys compete in? Is there a big, vast crowd of young generation, or you think the door is going to be open for those who even just, just entering the sport where the competition is not going to be as deep that they may be able to still excel? I guess, with weight pools, it is against numbers, right, at the end of the day?
Yeah, and I think with social media and just people just posting videos and all that, I think it's bringing the numbers up, throughout all the different dog sports. It's just a matter of these people feeling comfortable enough to go ahead and step on that field, step on that track, and I think that's going to eventually happen. But like I said, with social media, I mean, it's everywhere. I see people sitting there talking about weight pool videos, and it's like, hey, I get friends who know me from work, and they'll say, hey, did you see this video right here? This dog did this wall climb of 20 feet or whatever. Hey, do you know this dog or whatever? And I'm like, getting millions and millions of views or whatever. So I think eventually that's just going to sit there and resonate through the U.S. or whatever, and it's going to sit there and bring the numbers. And I've seen what it's done in other countries. I've seen Mexico where, a few years ago, it started with two guys pretty much coming to the U.S., Chuck and Horacio coming to the U.S., and it was like, hey, we want to learn about the sport of weight pool. And they brought that back over there. So they first used to bait the dogs, and then now it's like, all right, well, we want to actually learn this. And then they brought it back, and now LMTP is a huge, they had a bigger nationals than we had in the U.S. last
You guys
year.
go down there and compete down there?
Yeah, Destiny went out there 2016 to Monterey and won everything. I will be in Guadalajara November of this year. So
I guess like with traveling down there and with them being so passionate, because man, the Hispanic people, man, when they get behind something, they get passionate about it, like boxing. And I know it's like the UFC, MMA starting to making waves down there because of like Cain Velasquez and stuff, and they're competitors, man.
Yeah, they're definitely competitors, and I will sit there and say that was the best experience I've ever had at a weight pool.
Why do you feel that?
I mean,
because people think like, man, going to Mexico could be dangerous, but
no, I kid you not. I probably took over 300 pictures. With 300, every single person knew Destiny. Every single person knew me, and it was like I was a celebrity out there.
I feel like, man, the Latino community, man, if you earn your respect, you put in that work, they can respect that. You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
Like, it's like being in the ring and you got somebody who's going to run or somebody's going to stand toe-to-toe with you, and you earn that respect.
No matter what happens.
Yeah.
Right, and like I said, when I went out there, that was my 5th national in a 6-week period.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Literally, I went from Louisiana. I went to, where was ADBA that year? I think
Was it Alabama that?
St. Louis. It might have been St. Louis. I went to St. Louis. I went to Kansas. I went to Arkansas. And literally, like I said, you're talking about back-to-back-to-back weekends at times or whatever. But I still went out there. They welcomed me. The rapport was great with everybody out there. And I came out there and I came up in the dog that beat me at UPF Nationals that year. I ended up taking that dog out to win it all or whatnot. And it was a great experience for me. I mean, like I said, literally that was my best weight pool experience, was going out to Monterey.
So, what do you guys? You both feed raw, right?
Yeah.
What's your take on the pet food industry and how it's transitioning now? And I'm not talking about supplement. I'm talking about like AFCO regulated dog food versus the movement of raw feeding versus combination of just incorporating kibble and raw and stuff like that.
Again, coming down to money, I started feeding raw, I guess, in '97.
What got you into that? Like,
I had a 12-year-old Roddy and took her to the vet. Arthritis was bad. Coat looked like crap. And the vet said, oh, try raw food. And so, you can't give the dog chicken because you can't eat the bones, this and that. And at the time, I remember, because, Savannah didn't get a PetSmart for a long time. We would sometimes drive up from Savannah to Atlanta and get Eukanuba and Science Diet because that was the best.
Yeah.
It was the most expensive, so it had to be the best. Yeah. And I wasn't hip to the game about the vet schools and where the money went, etc. So with that particular dog, we started with the raw, and She was 12. Actually came back the next year at 13, which for Roddy is old.
Yeah.
Came back the next year, and arthritis, the inflammation had gone down. The coat, I mean, she was still 13 years old, so the coat didn't look like she was 2, but it looked much better. And she actually lived another year. And so I guess after that, my first litter of dogs basically went from cradle to grave on the raw. And then I would go to the vet school and I would look at, it's kind of morbid, but I would look at autopsy photos of the insides of dog that had cancer and died and had eaten kibble versus the ones that were on raw. And just those were the types of things that I needed to see that, okay, I don't care what this person whether they make Alpo or Nutramax or Science Diet, I don't care what they're saying. For the average person, this is the diet.
Yeah.
It's just it. First thing people ask me, oh my gosh, the dog, you got 20-pound dogs pooping like 50, 60-pound dogs when they're on kibble because you're giving so much of that and they're not absorbing it.
Yeah.
They're absorbing very little versus the raw, boom, it gets real small. Puppies can hide it. And it is important to know what you're doing with the supplements. It was one of the reasons that we first clicked because of some of the goals that you had and what you were trying to achieve with what you were putting out there. But yeah, the industry now is,
it's crazy, right? Like,
and as I say, I kind of just I stay away because I know it works. Because I remember back in the day, early 2000s, when I would say raw, oh no, it's too expensive, oh you're crazy. But now, because of the affordability of it, because sometimes with the cost of this, some of the high priced kibble, it's cheaper depending on
per pound,
depending on what you're feeding to feed the raw. So I don't preach it anymore, but I see it's one of those things where you just see stuff and you keep on moving. Oh, I do kibble and raw. Why would you do both? One takes longer to digest than the other. The other just shoots through the dog. It's just say it's a personal choice, and again, you've got to do what's best for your dog. I even remember in 2013 when I spent a lot of time with one of my weight pull mentors, and I guess I was down there for a couple of months, and I said, all right, well, I'm going to do exactly to the letter what this guy is doing just to see. And yeah, for a few weeks I went and I was feeding a kibble, and I would always use raw.
Yeah. What about you?
Biggest thing for me was the feces.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, sometimes we get dogs that head up to the headquarters and they're getting evaluated and stuff like that, man. And I cannot believe how big a shit comes out of their ass.
I'm not even going to lie to you, man.
It's fucking big and loggy and fucking huge.
Yeah. I wasn't about that shit, like, man.
when people come to me to have their dogs trained, I'll say, do they eat raw? Oh, no, they're on kibble. Do you have a problem with them eating? Well, I never thought of. If you want me to train your dog, 9 times out of 10, they're going to have to eat raw because, the pickup, the cleanup, oh, my gosh, and then the smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like puppies are slick, and you got newspaper and wood shavings. Puppies will hide it because it doesn't smell but for a minute, and you got to be careful. Have poop collecting because they just pushed it aside. But there's so many reasons why versus why not to. And of course you'll get the occasional, okay, my dog's allergic to chicken.
Yeah.
Well, what are you gonna feed kibble-wise if your dog's allergic to chicken? Because 9 out of 10 of them have some kind of chicken or chicken byproduct in it. But yeah, for most people, I think that's the way to go.
It's crazy right now, man. Like the immune system on the domestic dog now just keeps continuously getting weaker and weaker and weaker. My Staffordshire, I was feeding him all kinds of raws from the very beginning when I got him. Had no issues. He got into one of my kids, man, left a cherry pit. He got into it, broke out in a hive. Next thing you know, all of a sudden he had issues with raw chicken, raw beef, and now I got him on venison, and I felt like his immune system got compromised because of that, because he had no problems prior to that. So that's the only thing I can really assume it, associate it with. But yeah, man, it's like now you have, like you were saying, man, you got this freeze-dried raw that they're putting in kibble because the kibble industry is understanding that, man, people are becoming more consciously aware of what they're putting inside their dog because they're becoming more consciously aware of what they're putting inside themselves. Like, I can't eat fucking nothing hardly processed without feeling lethargic afterwards and shit.
Well, when you have medical companies and any time a company that makes detergent buys a dog food company, it's not like back in the day where Alpo was owned by Alpo.
It's like fucking Nestle owns everything.
Right. They don't care. they don't care. So
Yeah.
people are more concerned, and that's one of the things that you've done. I think sometimes when I look on the board and see people talking, it goes from dogs and then, oh yeah, Stan, I know you're doing the keto, and what did you eat today? I'm like, man, you just have a movement.
Yeah.
You got a whole movement
The X-Dog movement right there, man.
For sure.
Yeah.
But we just don't talk about fucking dog shit, man. We get into the whole personal development, and I think that's the key thing, man, because a lot of people vicariously live through their dogs. Like, they want their dogs to eat good, and they want their dogs to be disciplined and shit, but, man, they're not.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
because I always laugh when I hear, like, you may have a, how should I be politically correct? You may have a heavy set person that calls their dog fat. What are you doing? The dog doesn't have thumbs.
Yeah, exactly.
The dog didn't open the fridge.
Yeah, or they expect their dog to work their fucking ass off.
Right.
You know what I
and
mean?
While they're on the couch.
Yeah,
Now, I mean, granted, I am guilty of sticking a dog on a treadmill and just,
yeah.
I'm hanging out, watching TV or reading, but at the same time, try to stay fit and go to the gym as well.
Yeah. So, where can people find you guys on Instagram or any social media or Facebook and stuff like that? You go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you.
Team No Fear Working APBT on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Yeah.
Facebook personal page, Philip TNF Beauvais, BEAUVAIS.
And Clay No Fear.
Yeah. Well, man, we had another great episode. I appreciate you guys stopping by. I mean, this is not going to be the last time when you guys get up to Dallas. We're going to have to do this again. And again, man, if y'all could do us a solid, if you're on Spotify, iTunes, leave us a review on iTunes, on YouTube. We're pushing up that channel as well. And man, it's another great episode. Thank you again for all tuning in. And man, I guess we'll let you know next week how everything went at this Malamute weight pull competition tomorrow. And if you guys are gonna, well, I guess you ain't even gonna hear about it, but we'll let y'all know how the booth went. And if y'all need a new lime green vest, get them while you can, because they're going fast as shit. So again, thank you all for your support. We'll talk to y'all soon. Let's keep solving these problems.
Peace out.